We continue to follow breaking news tonight as protesters fill the streets of Portland for the 9th night in a row.
Let's take a live look right now from Air 12 as those demonstrators are leaving the waterfront park area, and many have gathered here in front of the Justice Center in downtown Portland. We do have a video from Air 12 from earlier this evening, and we'll get back to the Justice Center. This was as the group walked through Portland, leaving Revolution Hall just after 7 o'clock this evening.
This video shows a different group gathering on the Burnside Bridge after leaving Pioneer Courthouse Square tonight. Members of the tribal community gathered there. They told us they understand the pain, anger, and need for change and support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Boy, it all just unfolded on schedule, as we've seen on previous evenings. Here you see the crowd, this time, though, taking the Hawthorne Bridge. Like the nights before, the crowd gathered at Waterfront Park. That was the ultimate destination. And tonight we heard from several different speakers, and we'll be hearing from them here on the 10 o'clock news as well.
And around 8 o'clock tonight, a crowd was already gathered at the fence surrounding the Justice Center. You can see it was a lot smaller then. It has grown significantly in just a couple of hours. We do have team coverage with reporters fanned out to cover these protests tonight.
And let's start with Fox 12's Bonnie Silkman. Bonnie, where are you, and what can you see?
Well, Pete, we are at the Waterfront Park, and thousands of people are just behind me. I've been sitting with this huge crowd, but I stepped away because some speakers are talking to all the protesters after we crossed the bridge. We've been here for more than an hour now. A lot of powerful words. I want to show you some of the signs that have collected here at Portland's waterfront, many with George's name and his face saying "Justice for George." Say their names. We want justice. So you can see some of the feelings right here on full display here at Portland's waterfront. This has been an incredibly peaceful protest and march today, like many others that we've seen throughout these nights here in Portland. Many of these organizers saying that this is really reminiscent of the Civil Rights Act back in the 1960s, and they think this is an incredibly powerful moment in history. And I believe we have video of when we marched over here. So this time we actually crossed the Hawthorne Bridge, and when we were on the east side, we got a few vantage points where we were able to really just capture how massive the crowds were. They were chanting George's name, and not just George, but Breonna Taylor, because today would have been her 27th birthday. She died nearly 3 months ago. She was shot to death when police officers conducted a raid at her house. And really the questions surrounding her case and so many others have led to these protests all across the country and here in Portland, really adding fuel to this fire and to all the passion out here. Those protests, as we've seen, have erupted nationwide. And tonight at the Waterfront Park, after we crossed the bridge, we sat at the Waterfront Park, and some really powerful words were spoken here. I think a moment that really stood out to everyone is when a 10-year-old boy took the podium and said, as an African American, he wants to be able to go through life without a target on his back.
I shouldn't be told by my mom that if the police ever stop me, to stop right there, put my hands up, and not reach for anything. I shouldn't be followed in stores like I'm going to take something. I should be able to be a kid and do the same things all my other friends do without my mom being scared that I will be killed. When will racism end? I want to be able to grow up and not have a target on my back.
Yeah, and his words were followed by a standing ovation, just huge crowds after he spoke tonight. And Joanne Hardesty, the first African-American woman to serve on Portland City Council, she was also here tonight. And she said a revolution has started. She said it took 167 years before an African-American was elected to Portland City Council. And she said, yeah, that's me. She says she's been advocating for police reform for 30 years. And she also said she feels like a teenager when she sees all the protests, all the protesters hitting the streets of Portland. So right now, guys, we've been here for quite some time. Demonstrations are continuing. It sounds like speakers are playing some music right now. We've seen some really touching moments, so we're going to keep our eye on this crowd. We're not sure what happens next or how long this will go till, so we'll, of course, keep you posted.
Okay, Bonnie, thanks so much. Also at the waterfront tonight, we heard from Portland City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. She's the first African-American woman, as Bonnie mentioned. She was voted to Portland City Council.
Yeah, we wanted to show you some of that because it was really a remarkable moment. She spoke about how these protests were making an impact. Let's listen in.
I don't know if you heard, but Mayor Ted Wheeler said that he was going to disband the school resource officers this week before we got back to the vote. And let me be crystal clear, it is because of you. You did this, you.
And she had quite the response from the crowd. She left saying, "Don't stop, don't stop." So the protests showing no signs of stopping tonight.